Hello my beautiful crafty friends. Today we're going to look at harvesting book pages from some thrifted books and my system for what I look for and what I keep and what I do with them, and also my system for storing them. Won't you come and join us? Hi everyone, it's Trini here. How are you all? Welcome to my craft table. So today we're going to look at deconstructing a book. So I have this Reader's Digest book here, and I'm going to show you my method of how I remove the text block from the cover, and then what sort of pages I look out for in a book, and then how I sort those pages so that we can repurpose them and we can give these little beauties a second story. So let's get into it and let's start harvesting. The first thing that I do is I open a book like this. There's different ways that a book is constructed. Some of the signatures, which is basically when they get pages, for example, if we just pretend that these are book pages and they fold them in half, and then they layer them one inside the other, and then that is what is called a signature. This book here, you can see, is made of several signatures. The other type of book that you have is this one here, where each little individual page has been glued to the interior spine. So the first thing I'm going to do with a book like this, and this is not what we like to do, but we're giving this book a second life, don't forget. So I open it up and I crack the spine like so. Might do that a few times just so we can give it a little bit of flexibility. So then I've got myself a craft knife, and what I do is I start. Now if you have a look here, you can see you've got the cover, and then you've got this little piece of paper, and this is what's helping to secure the book block to the cover. So we just take our knife and we just make a little cut, and we very carefully come down. Now once you get going, actually it's quite easy, and we just cut that down. And I've now released it from its spine. So once we've done that, the other side, the back side, is then quite easy. So we can now pull that back, and we can do the same. And I would angle the knife inside, like towards the book, so that way you don't have any risk of damaging this spine. All right, so now we've got our book here, our book cover, ready to go to turn into a journal. I will be doing follow-up videos. This is going to be a little bit of a series, so I will be doing a follow-up video and we'll be creating a journal out of this beautiful little cover here. We've got a few pages that we can immediately have a look at. So this is what is called a fly page. So when they attach the book to the cover, they glue this piece on, and you'll also get ones at the very back as well. So I remove those. So we've got this one here, and these are excellent for ready-made journaling spots. So we'll remove the front one. So we've removed the front one and the back one. So we've got this gorgeous decorative page now, and we've got quite a lot of blank space there. And then we've got this one here. The edge needs a little bit of tidying, but that's okay. And again, we could either cover that up with some collage, or we could cut that off, and I can show you another purpose that we could use that. So I will now show you my system because we can start sorting these into piles. Okay, so I have little wallets, and this one here I have labeled, and the reason I'm not bringing it in underneath the camera is because I don't want it to shine and glare. So basically it's just a, you can see here, it's just a clear wallet, and I have it full of, you'll see here I've got book pages, fly pages and blank pages. So I gather these types of pages up and I pop them into the wallet. So I have that now in my stash along with all the other ones that I have collected. The next thing I do is then have a look at the next pages. So this is a lovely interesting page, so I will take that one. And these contents pages are always really interesting, and you can make ephemera from these type of pages, and I'll give you an example. So I've got this book here, and you can see it's got a lovely contents page, and this is the type of thing that I've done. Cut them into large tag shapes, and then you can just put a little bit of texture paste in the background, a lovely fussy cut, or even one of those see-through stickers would be nice, and maybe a label, add a tag topper, and you've got yourself a very easy tag. I'll collect the contents pages, and then I'll continue to go through the book, and these pages here are also very good. Now, the construction of this book, as I said, it's not a sewn in signature, it is glued. Every individual page is glued to the spine at the back here. So we just tear, we carefully tear. They do come out fairly easily. So with these half pages here, I find that, and this one's got a lovely illustration on the back of it as well. So what you could do is keep that as an illustration and make journaling spot or space to tuck behind a large pocket. Then on this side here, you've got some blank space, and this is the sort of thing that you can do. I have got this one here. Now the page number actually turns out to be like a specimen number, and then I've just simply gotten a stamp like so, and I've also got my Stabilo crayon, and I've gently coloured it in the background, just going like that in the background, and then with my archival ink, this one I used watering can, I've then stamped an image. So you can do something like this. You could collage over the top of this, and then you can add a lovely stamp, and then you've got a lovely illustration, or you could even cover that over and leave that for some journaling space. So this one could be either, it could be illustration or it could be a blank page. So I just keep going through. See, we've got another blank page here. And then I just flick my way through the book and I pull out all of the blank pages. I tend to find with these Reader's Digests at the beginning of the chapters is when you will get that blank page. I've got my envelope here which has got my fly pages, but it's also got my blank pages, and so they will now go into here. The other thing you can try and have a look at, and this one may not have it, so I have an envelope here and I've called it book pages, contents page and index pages. So these are the types of things that I have kept in there. So you can see the contents page, and this is an index page, and again these are lovely to cut out into tags, and then you can decorate and put a sticker on there or just collage over the top, or even a serviette would be nice. The other thing you can look out for as well is chapter headings. So Nameless Village might be something fun. Prologue, London, April 1965, and then you've got yourself a half page there, and you've also got some blank space up here. So look out for chapter headings. If you were making an Alice in Wonderland book, for example, or you could be doing a Jane Eyre book, or you could be doing a Charles Dickens book. I have got a Charles Dickens book here actually. So if you have a look at, we've got illustrations there, that would be a good one to keep. Lovely image of him there. And lots of pages here. Now we've got table of contents, the life of Charles Dickens. This would be excellent if you were doing a themed journal on Charles Dickens. So doing an Alice in Wonderland, this would be absolutely amazing. All these images. We've got a lovely lyrics to a song here, and oh, I just love that page. That is definitely going to feature in a journal. And so of course, on the theme of poems and quotes and words, I have collected some various poems that you can go through. Here's a lovely one about a sparrow, the mother sings, supper at the mill. So scan your books for poems and quotes and things like that, and you can scan your book pages and look for lovely little sentiments and little words that kind of pop out. So I've got a few here that I have found on the side. So this one here, feel the breeze and the sun and smell the gardens. I can see you from my windows. And this one's a bit of a good one. The sun poured in like gold spilling from a pot. So just scan your pages and see if you can just find some words or some sentences that might work. The other thing too to look out for old vintage books is what we call foxing. I can give you an example of foxing. So again, if we come here, you'll see this beautiful aging on the pages. That's a lovely example there. You just turn it into some ephemera and you've got some natural aging there. Beautiful to add to your vintage inspired journals. So when you get lovely books like this that have got this beautiful aging on the edge of the margins, often you'll use book pages as gluing under, or you might glue a couple of pages together and use it as what we call a substrate. So a substrate is just literally a surface that you can make something on. So you can turn them into tags, journal cards, or belly bands. I'll give you an example here. This is some book page, and I collect these because I love them so much. So I've got a whole tray just full of all these strips of beautifully aged paper. So one idea is I have just lined up a whole pile of number stamps and letter stamps. So I'll just get some archival ink here and just ink it up. You can see here the sorts of things that I'm doing. This one here is Tim Holt's collection, and this is Eccentric CMS 448. And there you go, and you've got yourself some strips of numbers, and when you're doing your collage work or decorating, you can just tear strips of these off and you've already got a lovely little specimen number on top of the serial number. So a couple of tips that I can pass on is that when you're looking for words that you might want to cut out, like this one I found here, this is just a whole block which sounds really lovely. I won't read it all, but you can see it starts off, it was all exactly right. That was the beauty of it. And it's got things like colours sing, music was sweetly scented, the moon tasted of honey, and all the bean flowers were butterflies. You could put that on a journal card, could put a nice flower or honeybee or something like that, and you could use that as a beautiful sentiment or a beautiful poem to add onto a journal card. So I'm going to take that page out right now, and I'm going to cut that out, and we're going to pop that in our little envelope so that we can have a look at that another day and we can make something out of it. So this one here is going to go into my little envelope, book pages, poems, quotes and words, etc. And so you just continue to work your way through the book and you harvest what you can. Reader's Digest books tend to not have the greatest of illustrations, but you can certainly harvest it as best you can. There are actually a couple of lovely images here that I would definitely keep. That one there, and then there was another one too earlier on that I saw. This one, this beautiful one here of Mary and her cousin in the garden, Elizabeth's garden. So I would definitely keep that one. So once you've harvested it and you've got everything out that you want to, I've tagged these because I sort of thought there could be some nice words here. This one here I have tagged because I thought looking at chapter beginnings would be nice, and this one here, fragments, I thought that would be good. So once you've harvested out all the pages that you think that you can use and you're left with the text block, you can continue to look through it for words and quotes and poems, and then whatever's left over after that you can use it for gluing under. You can use it as a substrate for making bases for ephemera, so I can show you some examples of that. So I have another little envelope here, and you can see here that I've got a book page that I've glued on, and then I've folded it down to a pocket shape. Then I've made another smaller pocket shape. I've folded some in half for just easy pockets. I've got a side tuck corner pocket. I've got a belly band, and then these ones here are just 2 pages. There's another one that I've done, and then I have just got pages that are just 2 or 3 that are glued together, and you can take out your dies. If you've got a stacking set of dies that will cut out circles, or you could cut out journal card shapes, you could cut out tag shapes. I've even stitched some, and in an earlier video I showed you a belly band, and then I layered these up to make little tuck spots. So I think this is a great use for your book pages. Masterboards. So the other thing that I do is when I'm painting and I've got a little bit of leftover paint, I will grab some of these harvested book pages and then I will do quick swatching, or I will wash my brush, or I will do a swipe. So this is good to cut, and then you can stamp a sentiment on that. I don't know what I would do with that. I would probably use that in Masterboard. And let's see what I've got here on my little label. This is giving me some ideas to remind me. So substrate for tags, journal cards, belly bands. Use it for masterboards. If you've got punches, like decorative punches, you can punch out shapes, and die cuts. You can die cut some things, swatching, or washi tape too. You can, I'll show you that. Just a quick one. So if you get yourself some sticky tape with a matte sort of finish, and you just, let's find a page that's got some half decent writing on it. It's another thing you have to be careful of too, is what sort of, that Bethlehem, let's look at the Bethlehem one. I'm sure that that would have some nicer sort of writing on it. So if we just put our sticky tape down here and just burnish it in, and then if you lift it up, and some of that book page will come up with it, and then you can get yourself another piece of paper and you can just see the hint of the book page. This is something that I have done as well. I have used my dies and I've cut out some butterflies, and then I've got some that are just plain book page, and then I've got some that I have decorated as well. I can do a video on that if you're interested to see that. Okay, so just to recap now with everything that we've been through, you can get your beautiful cover, remove it, and that's ready now to turn into a beautiful journal. Then we can look at getting the fly pages and the end pages and blank pages, and we can turn those into lovely ephemera pieces for our journal. Then you can look at getting your contents pages and your index pages and just any interesting pages that you can turn into tags is my favorite, or just any interesting ephemera. And I'm going to be following up with more videos, and we're going to turn all of this loveliness into more ephemera and pieces for your journal. We then also look through and we take out any illustrations that we think that we can use, and then we look for lovely poems and little quotes, and we then scan our book pages for interesting words that we can use, and then beautiful foxing and aging, which I did show you an example. And here's some foxing and aging on this beautiful book page here. And then the margins of the books with the beautiful aging, you can stamp and you can turn these into collage pieces. Another favorite thing I like to do, as I showed earlier, when you are painting, you can add a wipe of your brush and then you can stamp that later with some of your sentiment stamps. And then of course anything left over, we can do things to use up book pages like I demonstrated. You can turn them into book page washi, or you can use them for masterboards, and you can use them for gluing under. And then when you're finished with that, when it gets too sticky and messy, then you can turn them into substrates, so we can end up making pockets and belly bands out of them. Or we could punch them and make cute little book page butterflies out of them. And the other thing I like to do is I've made circles, add a strip of washi, and you've got yourself a pretty little embellishment. And I also have die cut out these butterflies. So guys, I hope that this has given you some inspiration, and next time you're out thrifting, you know, have a close look at these books and see if you can have a little bit more confidence when it comes to harvesting them and repurposing old books for a new purpose. And as I said, I will follow up with some more videos because I just absolutely love using book pages and getting the most out of them. That's it for me. If you have enjoyed the video, it would be great if you give us a like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, it would be great if you could consider subscribing, and then that way you'll be notified when I next upload a video. And as always, any comments are welcome. I answer everyone. So guys, that's it for me now. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.